Yo, what's up? This is Nick here with Living Rich, and today I'm going to break down a topic on life, basically, and then why people can't succeed or can't enjoy the process of doing something without worrying about the outcome. So, the basis of everything I'm going to talk about today is that everything is coming from nothing, and then everything also returns to nothing. Let that sink in for a moment. What relevance does that have? Well, it has relevance to everything we do, because it basically describes everything we do. It's a very spiritual concept. Like everything, came from God, and then once again will return to God and stuff like that. But I want to look at it in more practical terms and do a little bit more practical justice in this video. So let's take it in terms of success, doing what you want to do in any aspect of your life, to kind of put it into perspective. And then in order to do this, I'm going to choose an example, which is starting a business. So it's a pretty common theme. A lot of videos are talking about this. There's a lot of different opinions on that out there. There's a lot of different ways it could go, and a lot of different outcomes could come from that. But essentially, business comes from business. A business does not exist, then it exists, and then it dies off. And this could happen over a year if it's a pretty shitty business, or it can happen over multiple lifetimes of people if it is a very strong foundation in business, and it's able to keep up with the times and able to keep on working for the people and giving value, and being sustainable. So in terms of going from not owning a business or not having a business that's functioning to having a business that's functioning, aside from being given a business that's functioning and you don't have to do anything with it, your great auntie dies off and you inherit something, which is totally possible, and then in that case you're basically just walking into like a middle phase of a business. But to start one out on your own, to begin something, to begin a movement, to begin anything in your life, to build a skill, a lot of times what stops people in the beginning is the progress that they make. Because in the beginning, progress is really awkward, it's shitty, and it looks a hell of a lot like failure. So instead of looking at why you can't, okay, let's take one example of someone starting a business and then the business closing down. And then that person has the choice to either look at it as, a failure, because, his business failed and he could identify with being a failure. Or he can take another look at it and see it as the first step towards being able to effectively manage a business and taking the lessons he learned from that and applying them to actually having a successful business. So where can it start? And how? Basically, whatever you're trying to do starts out very small and on the level of like an idea or a feeling. And that's where like pretty much everything starts as a seed. Like, as far as we know, it could start even like smaller, like that we can't even sense, and then it grows and blossoms into that. But for our concerns, it's coming from like that little seedling of an idea and then flowering into action. So we start from the seed, and then we get this idea. Maybe we start like having an interest in like business books, and then we start, taking notice of family or friends that have businesses and what they do and how they work. Maybe we start subconsciously modeling them, or maybe buying the magazines like Fast Company or something that talks a lot about business and innovation and stuff like that. And then, eventually we get the balls to like start something. After all like the fun and enjoyment of like researching wears out, we do something. Then after we do something, it can go one of either two ways. The most common way to go is it's gonna fucking fail. You're gonna fall flat on your face. The first attempt is always a progress attempt. It's always an attempt where you get in there, you expected something totally different from what reality is, and then you fall on your face, and you have to get back up in order to fully like grow this idea. You need to get back up and go again. So that initial failure though was a success, because if you look at it, it took the seed of the idea and it blossomed into something, and then it fell back down into nothing. All you're trying to do is you're trying to expand your idea of a successful business probably is a business that lasts a little bit longer. But what you have to realize is it's still going to fall into nothingness. It's still going to go out of existence. So a lot of times we focus on this, like, and then we could get the idea like it's all for nothing. But why even try to begin with? Well, it's a good question. You should ask yourself that. And if you're attached to anything else besides actually doing it and actually, doing what the business entailed, whether it's helping someone or, providing some service and like doing it for the joy of doing that, you might have to seriously reconsider what you're doing. And this goes for all actions, not just business. Because that doing is what you're going to be doing with your life, or with whatever it is that you're going to be learning, or whoever it is you want to be with. So think of it like a muscle. You lift weights for a little, and then you can't because you're tired. You do a set, you have to take a break. So likewise, you start a business, it fails. That was like your first set. That was like the first time you picked up the weights, the first time you got, into the gym. You were like, oh yeah, I'm strong. Ooh, up. And you realize you need a lot more progress. You realize you need to go to the gym more often and build those muscles to create the stamina that you want to have. And then in the business case, you realize you need to go again, start another business, readjust, learn where you went wrong before to have a better stamina of a company. Maybe you're not providing enough value. Maybe your, accounting was off. Maybe you were, dipping your fingers in the company pot or some shit like that. So you got to look at yourself, reevaluate, and go back again. And then the next time, maybe your business lasts, I don't know, maybe 2 years, 3 years, and then you go out of business. And then it goes back down to nothing. So that was your second day of going to the gym. And basically, if you follow the logic here, you keep going back to the game, basically. Back to playing having a business until you get the stamina, until you get in the flow that you're looking for. But once you're there, realize that it's all going to fall back down to nothing eventually. So take your time to enjoy it. Enjoy the process of making it. Enjoy the process of serving whoever you're serving. And, you know, bringing your life to the world. Because if you don't, then it really will be all for nothing. And you probably won't serve that many people or really help anyone out. So, again, to recap the video. Everything starts at nothing, blossoms from an idea, or the seed is the idea, blossoms in through the action, and then maybe it becomes a self-sustaining thing. Then eventually it comes back and fades away into nothing. And yeah, knowing that will allow you to have a lot of joy, because it's just like there's a freeing sense. You know how, like, initially the sense is to be like, what does it matter? Nothing matters. Well, there's also the other side of that. You're like, nothing matters, and you're free to do what you want. I'm free to make these videos, you know, see if people like them. If they don't, who cares? It doesn't really matter. So, and there's a certain joy and freedom in that, in knowing that reality. Alright, thank you very much for watching today. I'm gonna take off, and have a good one. Bye.